Alright, hi guys, this is going to be a tutorial on how to put animations from one gun onto another. There's two methods that come to mind, at least at the moment, of how to do this, and both of them will require FO4 edit, and one of them will also require NIF scope. Yeah, NIF scope. So the first method is really easy. So you just use FO4 edit, open it up. And if you want an idea about how to use FO4 Edit or how to install it, I've got two other quick little videos that I mentioned how to do this, and you can also, of course, Google it. So, although you search it for YouTube. So here's FO4 Edit. You pick the mod that you want to put the guns on. So I will pick, where is it? Let's go for a gun that is compatible with F. Where is it? No. No. Well, we're going to put the RU556 animations on it, so we'll just click that first for now. I gotta find what the other one is. Oh, it doesn't matter. Pick any gun you want. So I'm picking the SG550, 550. Load them up. Okay, so now you've got both of them loaded up in FO4 Edit and the requirements. So now what you want to do is go to the mod you want to add the animations to. Right click SG550 and then do Add Master, and then click this one, which will be the one that you pull the animations from. Okay, ideally for this, the problem with this way is that the guns have to have the same animation base. So they have to be both made on the same animation. So the RU556 is built on the AK framework of animation. So you'd have to have an equivalent gun animation set that was built on the same thing. So I think the SG550 was also built on it, but I'm going to test it. This is just for showing. So now that you've got this as a master, you can check this by looking in the header, and on the right hand side you see masters, Fallout 4, ESM, and RU556. Brilliant. That basically means all the records that are in this one will also be accessible in this one, right? So now we're going to go to the weapon. So the weapon is the 550 here, and the weapon sub category. You can go down to where it says keywords. You see here it's Anims SG550, which is obviously the SG550 anime. What you want to do is change that to Anims and then RU556. There, all the keywords for the RU556 are available, like that. And then all I gotta do now is save. Although you can also add the other keywords, for example, like angled grip, foregrip, that kind of stuff, to the object modifications for the grips. So they will actually use the same animations that will match the RU56. So let's find tacticals. Oh, it doesn't have it, does it? I swear it did. Yeah, vert grip. So here what you would do, you find the animation keyword in the properties underneath the object modification, which is basically when the vert grip, that is what it is. So keywords, anims, do the same thing again, just go double click on it and then type in RU55 and then go down to say vert grip, done. So now when you use that attachment, it'll use those animations. And then obviously, and then save and then exit. I'd save it if I wanted to keep this and then exit, and you can save it there. But I don't want to save this because this is a bad idea. But that's how you do it. That's how you do one way of it. But make sure before you do that, you keep a backup. So always keep backups. If you enter the game and your gun is completely broken apart, that basically means that the animation set wasn't built on the same foundation. So deliverer, 10mm submachine gun, assault rifle, whatever. There's X amount. But that's the quickest way of doing animation swaps. But has major issues, like I just said. The other way of doing it, which is a bit more complicated, so you'd have to go to something like RU556, and we'll do this one, carbine. Okay. No, not that one. This one. Oh, don't want. Okay, we'll do this one then. So that's the first way. The second, okay, oh, there's 3 ways, even better. Second way is a really quick way. You can go into the meshes and let's do a different one. Let's do what's it called? It's called MP5. Oh, wrong one. There. Okay. So you go to the MP5s, for example, and you'll go to meshes, actors, character, first person, animations, and you'll see that they've got all the different animations are broken down. So you've got one for the idle readies, the melee attack, equip, the fast equip, etc., reload, sprint, whatever. And if any of them get changed to match, say, foregrips, they will be changed and added into this folder. So when you have the vertgrip, these animations will overwrite the equivalents in this folder, right? So what you can do is if you do this, you can. This will only work as well if the animations are on the same base again. Otherwise, your gun will be broken apart in your hand. So you can just go to first person animations, and then with base one, you can go, say, if you want to do the sprint, you could get weapon sprint here, and then copy it into the other folder, and it would work. Both of these guns are built on the same framework. I'm pretty sure the MP5 is built on AK, and so is RU556 built in AK as well, so you can interchange these easily. Which I would suggest, because the sprint and the melee are pretty cool on the MP5 especially, because they're very modern warfare-y. But then again, keep backups, and if it breaks your gun, it means they were on the same animation base. The third way is the hardest to do, but it is the best way to do it, because you will get all the different issues solved by rebuilding it. And basically what you have to do is you have to rebuild the whole gun. So have fun with that. That's symbolic, but you have to do it painstakingly by, where is it? Being super clever with Nifscope. So you open up Nifscope. You'd open up the receiver mesh. That's how I do it, at least. I usually start on the receiver mesh. So you go receiver. So this is the RU556 receiver. And then I would go to the mesh of the gun that I want to put on the animations. And we'll just do Novsky. Okay, so we've got 2 sets of meshes. This is kind of difficult to explain because these are already built on the same animations. I've already done this, but you'd copy the parts that are equivalent in the old original weapon mesh into the RU556, but make a copy of this. So now, before I do anything out now, I do a save as, and I would do a save as. Yeah, thank you. And make, say, receiver 2, or rename it, or whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Just make sure you put it somewhere where you can find it. And then what I would do is, one important thing about Nifscope is you see this main header there. You go underneath it. All of these will apply to that knee node. If you right click and then do pasted end, for example, it won't be within this knee node. It'll be outside, and that's not what you want. That'll break the game. Or your mod in some way. You don't want that. So click on the mesh equivalent. So this one here, and you'll see on the left hand side, it opens up this sub knee node, which is the main receiver node. So all of these correspond to points in the animation. So for example, you got the trigger, you got the optics, you got the magazine, you got the bolt, which would be like the carry charge handle. So go back during animations, like in reloads. So what I would do is go to the same one. This is an equivalent at the moment, animate AR receiver, and then do paste there. So It might not line up as perfectly as that for you, depending on, it most likely won't. So what you're going to have to do is click on the mesh you want to change the position of, which is usually the new mesh, edit, and then you would have to adjust it to go to wherever you needed it to be. And you'd have to do that for every single mesh, and make sure every mesh within the NIF, in the original NIF, this one here, and you would have to make sure that it's all in the right places. So the trigger would, well, the triggers aren't important because you don't really, I'd never see animations for trigger, but the bolts will always have to be in a weapon extra or weapon bolts, for example, depending on the animation set. This is weapon extra in RU556 is one, and then the bolt is this, but I don't think the bolt moves. Oh, it does move. Okay, well, regardless. Oh yeah, because you don't want to move at the same time. Just separate things. Yeah, well, you know what I mean. That's how you would do it. And you'd have to do it for every single mesh equivalent that attaches to the original mod. So say, if you wanted to do it for a barrel from your old gun, you'd have to build it over the barrel of, well, the easiest way to do it is to build it over the barrel of the old one. But then you'd have to do all the changes for it as well. So you'll have to, unless you want to have the same things, so like different attachments in the RU556 will attach to the same things here, and the connect points should be equivalent on the master and the child. So you'll have the parent, we have, this is where things that have scope will attach to, and on the scope you'd have the equivalent where it's children here, we'd say something like C scope, and that will be the way the scope attaches to this, because the scope on its settings here will have connect point children C dash scope, whilst this is only returning to the dummy receiver thing, which is fine. But the parent is what this one allows others to attach to. So it's got 6 of these, and all of these will attach to it. Certain things like rails, for example, will probably be on the barrel mesh, and they'll attach to the barrel, which attaches to the receiver, which makes sense. Doing this way is quite a long procedure because you'd have to do it for X amount of attachments, but it is the best. And you can also compare the meshes directly on NIF scope to see where your hand lines up, or where it should line up, because obviously you see the grip here, and you'll be able to estimate the size of the receiver, trigger, pistol grip, vert grip, in alignment with what already works on the animation. So when you open up, say if I open up the vert grip for the RU556 attachments and go to any of the vert grips, Tango, the placement of any other vert grip on this will have to match up, otherwise it will be incongruent. Is that a word? I don't know. Don't care, I'm tired. But for example, on my M4, I've got this, and I want to do the same thing. I want to put on the RU556 animations. I would do this, right click on the knee node where everything else is in, paste grip. You'll notice here that this, if I click on the original, there aren't broken knee nodes. It's all just underneath the one. It's because certain NIFs are more complicated than others. The receiver mesh is one of the most complicated ones because of different animations that are broken apart with that mesh. And that depends on the gun. So you'll see here the Pilau, I guess that's how you pronounce Pilau grip is slightly off. So if I wanted to adjust it to match perfectly, I would just go to right click, transform, edit, and then just play around with the Y values. So I can bring it back a bit. There, that's probably a better one. And then I could just delete the original mesh and then save it under a new name, and that will be suited to the RU556 animations. I could put that on the RU556 and you'd have no problem with it positioned on the weapon at least. Yeah, I hope that clears it up a bit. Otherwise, you'd have to, if you have any questions, I suggest learning up how to use NIF scope. But the most important thing about NIF scope, I would say, is how the knee nodes break down into categories, and you have to follow that category. Otherwise, your gun will either look broken in your hands when you are moving or doing any kind of in-game animation. And yeah, that's a little quick synopsis of how the 3 different techniques of doing it. So one, just to recap, the first one is doing a master, adding the original mod as a master in FO4 Edit. But it's everything there by accident. I didn't mean to. Hang on. So the first way is to do animation keyword swap in FO4 Edit. Second way, directly replacing animation files. Third way is to rebuild the gun on the original gun animation source meshes. So that would match it to the original animations. There's pros and cons to each. Pros for animation keyword swap is that it's quick, easy. Cons, lots of cons. Requires the same animation base. Requires having the master installed as well. So like if you don't use the RU556, you'll need to have it installed just to have the animations. And the keywords are based in the original RU556 ESP. I think that's the main one, I think. Requires an animation base. Yeah. And directly, it's pretty much the exact same. But just these. And arguably folder management, because you have to understand what the folders do. But that's really easy once you get comfortable with it. The third pros and cons would be that it takes a long. Pros of this is that it's the best end effect for weapons not on the same animations. But the cons is that it takes a long time. It takes a long time to do, and you have to pay attention to names of the files, and you'd have to add them to the NIF, ESP you want to do, whether it's the original or the new. If I was doing it though, I would do a new ESP. I wouldn't want to overwrite the existing S6, for example, SG550. I'd want to make a new ESP and copy things that I'm editing directly from the SG550 and then edit it as I go along. So I wouldn't want to do it all at once, otherwise it'd just be too much to see on a screen and be chaotic. But yeah, those are the 3 ways. Hopefully that clears things up for you. I'm sure you have lots of questions, especially if you're new to modding and doing animations and NifScope. No, animations, doing NifScope. Yeah, that's the quick shitty guide. Bye.